Alright, and we're live. This is just gonna be a little video test. I know that my webcam is it's not even really picking me up really. I'm coming in a bit blurry. But this is just gonna be a little test to see what I did with the settings. I messed with the microphone settings. And I just thought I'd live stream while I go over charts and prepare for the upcoming week. So let's get into it. Let me see if I'm live here on YouTube. No, audio is pretty good. Alright. We're live and going on YouTube. Again, this is just a test. I'm trying to test out the audio. I went out, I bought a really good mic. I bought this big bad boy right here. Messed around with the settings all weekend. Because I was really bummed out on Friday when we traded live and the audio just kept going out. And it would always pick up my desktop fan. So I messed around with the settings all weekend, learned about all the audio settings, and that's really what I did all weekend. So I thought I'd do a little stream here, and we'll look at charts and prepare for the upcoming week. We had a lot of things, a lot of stocks explode after hours on Friday. ONCT is one of them. Right here on the 1 minute, we were watching this Friday, and I even traded this Friday and made $500, and I sold out of it and left for the day. And then from $3.75, $4, this explodes all the way up to $8.30. And I knew this was going to happen because we had all of these stocks that were up a lot, and some of them were even easy to borrow at a lot of brokers for a while, and they were just hanging around for days, not breaking down. So we knew a squeeze like KOKD, BPTH was gonna happen. It was just a matter of time, and Friday was that day. ONCT was just one of them. I mean, even look at the 10 minute on this bad boy. Look at that big wedge. That's just screaming that it's getting squeezed. When you have a resistance like that, let me get my marker out. When you have a resistance like that, and the stock is slowly but surely making higher lows, and then you got this nice just U shape right here, curling up and around. That mental $4 is a big trigger level for this stock. And from 4, just boom, explodes and just goes parabolic. We could see this gapping up really big, possibly on Monday. I would just say be careful. Don't get FOMO, because this will gap up. It could either have a really fast morning spike or just sell off hard. Don't get caught up in the FOMO. Just relax, chill out, wait for an A+ setup to come to you. That's what it's all about. But wow, what an explosion on ONCT. And that's not even the big one. The big one was APVO. Now look at this one. From $21 all the way up to $80 after hours. That's a $60 move. You're holding on to 1,000 shares, either long or short. This exploded up $60. Imagine that, 1,000 shares making $60,000. That's, for most people, that's 1 year worth of work for the average Joe in an hour. I mean, that's unbelievable. This is the opportunities that the market can give you. But imagine if you were short and you closed it up, you walked away for the day, you're hanging out with your family, you're short 1,000, 5,000 shares, you're confident in it, it's up way too much, and then you get a call from your broker, you get a margin call, and you're down 1,000 shares, $60,000. Imagine 5,000 shares. Let's do the math on that real quick, just for fun. 5,000 shares times 60. That's a $300,000 loss. Over $250,000. That's wild. That's why I personally don't get involved in shorting. It's just way, way, way too risky. I've been doing this for 5 years, and I've only shorted once. And I see a lot of new people come in. They're all excited. They all want to short, and it's overcrowded. It's always been overcrowded, always. So we also had pot stocks popping up and taking off on Friday. Also, ACB, TLRY was another one. What were some other pot stocks? IGC or something? IGC, a little bit of a penny stock, but I think it's IGCC. But let me know in the comments, guys, if the audio audio quality is all right and everything's working good. Again, this is just a test video. Like I said, I messed around with the settings over the weekend because I was really bummed out on Friday because we were just having all kinds of audio issues, and I had to keep restarting the stream. So I went out and I bought a brand new, really fancy microphone, messed around with the settings and learned it all. Okay, David Coda says, you sound good, no echoing, very professional sound. Awesome. That's what I want. You guys deserve the best. Good to hear. So I'm going to go through some charts, and this is what I do every Sunday. I just go through my watch list. So this is what I do. Throughout the trading week, I have a watch list. This is my big watch list right here. It's just labeled Monday, and I have two of them, a weekly watch list and a Monday watch list. So throughout the week, Monday through Friday, I'll just add all of these hot stocks throughout the week onto this Monday list right here. So all of these stocks that are currently on this list, they were all either gapping up pre-market, I was looking at them, they popped up on the scanner, I threw it on this watch list. And this is all throughout the week. And then what do I do on Sunday is I go through every single one of these tickers and I look at the charts. I look at the news. I see if it's still in play. Is there still volume involved? Is there an opportunity still there? If I like the stock going into the upcoming week, I'll add it to my weekly watch list. And then I'll start the week. Sunday, I'll draw out all of my lines. I'll throw on a couple alerts, throw it on the weekly watch list. And then Monday comes around, I see what's gapping up pre-market. And then if there's nothing really going on Monday on the pre-market scanners, I can always fall back to my weekly watch list, what I prepared the other night, just as a backup just in case nothing's going on the next day. So this is what I do. And then to show you guys just for the heck of it, I also have many different watch lists. Like I have my market watch list, which is just my Dow Jones, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, the Russell 2000, the VIX, the semiconductor, gold, stuff like that. Just so I can click over to the market and I can visually see which one is the best performing and which one is the worst performing, just based on the percentage change. And then moving on, I also have a watch list for oil, gas, gold, and they're all ETFs. And again, so I can just quickly reference over to this watch list and see which are the best performing and which are the worst performing. So like I said, Friday, a lot of marijuana stocks popped off, and we could see right here at the top. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, but MJ, marijuana, Mary Jane, that's the marijuana sector or ETF right there, MJ. So I seen a lot of pot stocks were popping off Friday. Head on over to the ETF section. It's at the top of the list. So it's just a quick reference to make things easier. And then I got my sectors watch list. These are all of just your basic sectors. I could see which ones are the best performing sectors, which ones are the worst performing sectors. So if I have a stock that I'm looking to trade and I look over at the sector and it's the worst performing sector, and the stock that I'm looking to trade is in that same sector, and I'm trying to buy a high of day breakout, that's something that I might consider. There's always multiple variables you got to think about and things you got to put together as a trader. The more, the better. So we got oil ETFs. I got gold ETFs, natural gas. I'm not much of a natural gas type of guy. We got our market ETFs. So like your TQQQ, your SQQQ, your Dow Jones, your UDOW, SDOW, VXN, UVXY, stuff like that. Your semiconductors. I got my biotechs, energy, and then my banks. I always like to, you don't have to do this, but I have a watch list just dedicated to all of the banks. It's just for fun. I just like to keep track of the big banks around the world, see how they perform on a daily basis, check to see which one's the best performing, which one's the worst performing. I just try to stay relevant in multiple areas so I can kind of see what might possibly heat up and get a better advantage on what could pop up. If I start to see a few banks related stocks pop up on the scanners and then the next day I see it again, then I can look more into it. It's all about paying attention to details as a trader. So let's go back to the Monday. Now we're going to go through all of these stocks to see if they're still in play, and if they are, I'll add it to my weekly watch list. So I hope you guys all had a great weekend. And I live in Michigan, so we've had some really good weather up here the past week. 70s, all the leaves are starting to fall off the trees, and the colors in fall are just beautiful. But Michigan does have some of the worst winters. That's the only part that sucks. So APVO, this is a no-brainer. It's going to go on the weekly watch list. And then same thing with ONCT. It's a no-brainer. It's going on the weekly watch list. And now, with these gapping up this high, I can, forecast lines for tomorrow. But the way I'm thinking of it right now, these are up way, way so much right now. I could wake up tomorrow, this thing could gap up another $20 or gap down $10, $15, and all the lines that I drew the night before are not even close or in play. So I'll just add them, see where they're at in the morning, and go from there. So TLRY, again, we'll add this to the weekly watch list. Also with ACB, we'll add that one too. And then I had FTCH on my list. This had a really, really good run last week, from $28 all the way up to almost $43. It's a bit of a grinder. It's not really a volatile stock, and it's a little bit high in priced. It really needs to get back above that 43, but I'm over it. I'm not really interested. IGC, I'm not really interested. It's too low. DGLY, still just hanging around. I'd keep an eye on this for a potential squeeze. It could happen. That $3 has been a real big area for DGLY. So we can add it to the weekly watch list. You can see right here on the 10-minute. This had a big kind of sloppy wedge to it right here. But it fell down below it and it bounced right at this red line. And it held above that mental $2.50. And it's working its way right back up to that $3. That big mental level. You could see it tried to break over that $3. It tried right there. It tried there. And it just got denied. Even if you go back to the 1 minute time frame, when it did perk over that $3, it was very short lived. It didn't last at all. Right here, draw that $3 line on it right here. Always look at charts at mental price levels. I'm telling you guys, nobody cares if a stock is finding resistance at $2.83. It's nobody's paying attention or trading around those types of numbers. Every 25 cents, every 50 cents, every mental $1, mental $10, $50, $100 levels, mental price levels, that's what people are focusing on and trading around. So that $3 level, you could see it right here. Popped up there, failed there, got above it, failed, got above it right here. It tried to hold above it. You could see it tried holding as support right here. Popped up after hours. Then if we zoom out and fast forward to the next day, it dipped down to 275 and ran right back up to that $3 and failed again right here. Couldn't even hold above it. It topped out at 310. So there's a lot of resistance up above that $3. But if this does get above $3, see, and it even failed right there too, Friday. After hours, it dipped down to that mental $2.50. Hung around. This is accumulation. That's what that is. That's accumulation. Now it's ramping back up to test that 3 again. Now, this is a big, big important area. This is do or die for it right here at this $3. It's either going to squeeze the shorts and it's going to explode up, or it's going to fail again. But let's look at that daily chart. The bigger the time frame, it makes sense, the more powerful the move. Now, this is the daily chart. So the daily chart on this, we have the 13 EMA coming up to the 100 EMA, that orange line and green line. So a squeeze is happening. We got that mental $3. If it breaks above that, this has room to run up to 350. That'll be the first resistance. And then just below $4 will be the second resistance. So 50 cents up, it'll find resistance above that $3 to 350. And if it can get above 350, $4 will be the next area. So what I'd be looking for DGLY, for it to get up and above that $3 and then prove to me that it can hold $3 as support, and then I'd be looking to sell when it gets to 350, and then if it can get above 350, let that 350 hold as support and work its way up to 4. Stocks are going to move in stages. But DGLY has a history of running. It really does. I mean, look at these big, juicy green candles. You know, that's when you see a chart like that with big, juicy green candles, that's telling you that this stock has a personality that it likes to move. If this daily chart had just big red candles, like just deep red candles filled, that's not really showing that it likes to run. It's showing that it likes to sell off. So keep an eye on DGLY. I'll add that to the weekly watch list. Very nice setup. And these are all just back burner plays. That's all these are. So if you guys have any stocks you want me to go over, leave a comment. I'll go over it and check it out. Let's look at Snapchat. Snapchat has been a beast. Running up Friday. Look at this explosion. Friday having a nice move from that 41.50 all the way up to almost $45. Very nice move on Snapchat. And just look at these rounding bottoms on it. Remember, I just made a video recently. You want to keep an eye on rounding bottoms. Those are bullish. Rounding tops, those are bearish. You got a rounding bottom right here and a rounding bottom right there. Nice rounding bottoms on this. That's almost like a cup and handle right here. But with those rounding bottoms, yeah, this rounding bottom failed right here. But you got to think, it just made this big move right here. People are going to want to take profits. Retraced and fell down a bit. Volume retraced on it. Back up it goes to a new high. All stocks have their own personalities. You got to remember that. So on the weekly watch list, I'll continue to watch Snapchat. Why not? And then I had NNOX on my list for the longest. This has been a newer IPO type of stock. I mean, it was in play for the longest time, but volume's a bit dried up on it. I'm not even gonna mess with it. KNDI. KNDI had a nice week last week. Look at the past 3 days. This stock moved. zoom in on this right here. Yeah, this is a really nice move right here. It topped out up here just above $9, and then when it retraced, there's that resistance on it at 9, and when it fell back down, it pulled back around 50% of this move right here. So what do I mean by that is if you get your Fibonacci retracement and draw from the low up to the high, this, when it retraced from the high right here to right here, on the Fibonacci retracement, that's 50%. It's a 50% retracement. And then from there, grinded its way all the way up to that high. The next day, gapped up a little bit, shot up, and you can see how it pulled back, and it found support at old resistance, right at that $9. So, resistance, support. And it shot up to $10, that mental level right there. That's a big, big mental level. You could see right here on the 10-minute, every candle is 10 minutes. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 50 minutes, 5 candles. It found resistance right at that $10. It's a big, big mental level. So let it retrace, come back down. You could see that old resistance at 9 is still holding as support. So let that to continue hold as support. Let it start to build up for that big $10 break. So I'm going to throw KNDI on my weekly watch list. KNDI, it says on Street Smart Edge that it has a float of 39.5 million. So Roman says, yo, take a look at Snap. Looks a lot like ACB. So, well, ACB and Snapchat, they're both on the New York Stock Exchange. So they could very well move the same. This is ACB 10-minute. And this is Snapchat 10-minute. But they're both in different sectors. ACB is in the healthcare, pharmaceuticals. Snapchat's in the communication service, interactive media and services. But they're on the same exchange is what I'm trying to say. I don't really trade New York Stock Exchange stocks that much. They move way differently than NASDAQ stocks. But I'll trade them from time to time. So back to the list. I had Sava on watch last week. Sava had a nice move one day. That was on Wednesday. Right here. Good powerful move here on Sava. You can almost see it's like a inverse head and shoulders right here at the beginning of the day. A little bit sloppy, but you could see it somewhat. I mean, let's see. Somewhat you can see it, like you got your shoulder there, your head, and either that can be a shoulder or that can be a shoulder, and your neckline is like right at this 1075. But Sava, nice move from that mental $10 all the way up to $12.40. And again, mental levels. $10 mental level. You can see it bottomed right there at that mental $10. And on the daily chart, that 13 EMA is right at $10. Bounced right off of it up to almost 11. Up here. Pulled back for that break above that $11. And off she went. I think I traded Sava last week. I can't remember. But I'll add Sava onto my weekly watch list because traders remember stocks that move. JAKK, volume dried up on it. It had one good day on a Tuesday last week. Right here. Had just a little squeeze going up on it. You can see it gapped up pre-market. Fell down right here. Fell down. Bottomed out here at around this $5. From 5, rips up to 6. Pulls back down to 530s. Works its way up to that VWAP. Holds VWAP and just explodes up. Up to almost 650 it topped out at. So from the bottom at 5 to 650, that's a $1.50 move all within 3 hours. And then it consolidated and faded off. It just had a quick squeeze on it. That's all it did. A lot of squeezes this week. And then look at that fade. Ugh. With small cap stocks, guys, don't fall in love with them. Don't fall in love with stocks below $10. I did it when I first started out. I would swing. A stock would have one great day, and I'd swing it for the next day for it to gap up. But the honest truth, the next day, something new is going to pop up. A new stock's going to come out with news, and everybody's going to migrate over to that and forget about that other stock. And majority of the time, too, they're going to do offerings, and it just kills the stocks. You got to think these small cap stocks, they're just starting out as companies. So if ever they rise in price, they're going to take that money and reinvest it back into the company and the stock to try to grow. I would do the same thing with my company. Kron's still in play. All the pot stocks are in play. ACB, TLRY. But you just got to be careful with these pot stocks because pot stocks have a history of running and then just slowly decaying. I mean, look at the index, MJ, on that the daily chart. If I can bring it over. This is MJ right here. Don't worry about all that. This right here. MJ decayed for the longest. All right here. And then it had a pop finally. And then faded off back down. And now it's having another pop. I'd probably look for it to run up to maybe 17. It'll find resistance up there on the MJ ETF, the marijuana ETF. The MJ is if you want to trade these pot stocks, you gotta follow the MJ. They're all gonna be this is correlated with it all. This is the mother right here. But all the pot stocks are in play, all of them. Just determine which one is the leader, because there's going to always be a leader in these sector breakouts. So determining what the leader is go ahead and do that. So gather up all the pot stocks, Cron, ACB, TLRY, NBEV, I think is another one. IGCC or IGGC is another one. Go over to FinViz. Let me bring this up. So this is how you break it down. So you go to ACB was one. It's in the healthcare. Drug manufacturers specialty generic. Let's click on that. These are all the stocks right here. Go by the percentage change the most. You can see it right there. There's your ACB. There's your TLRY. There's your Cron. There's CGC. This is how you track to see who's the leader. So ACB was the #1 percentage gainer on Friday. So ACB is the leader, followed by HEXO. TLRY is another big leader. OGI. Cron. Cron is #5. So this is how you put the pieces together. And there's a total of five lists on FinViz of all of these stocks. SNOA has a history of running in the past. How do I know so much? I've been doing this for 5 years. That's why I know so much. I've read so many trading books and watched so many trader interviews, and I've been around for a minute. I love this stuff. I'm passionate about the stock market. I try to learn and grow every day. So that's why I know so much. I just have experience behind my back. So add MJ just to the weekly watch list, along with TLRY, ACB, Cron. You know, there's a lot of people love marijuana stocks. A lot of people. Like, every time I get on stream, there's always somebody who comments about pot stocks. But the thing with pot stocks, they can be a little tricky to trade sometimes because you have so many people trading these pot stocks, long-term investors, swing traders, scalpers, day traders. So you have so many personalities trading these stocks, so many beliefs, trading strategies, and it leads to randomness. So just be careful with pot stocks and always keep the bigger picture in mind. If it's in an uptrend, it's going to probably continue going higher until all the other stocks break the trend. So let's move on. VVPR. I added VVPR to my list last week simply because it kept popping up on my scanners. VVPR has a history of running in the past. You can see here on the daily. All these big upper wicks on it. Here, here, here. All this running, that running right there, that big wick. The stock loves to pop up and go. For day trading opportunities, I remember this stock running in the past. It's a low float stock. The float on it's 7.5 million. So it's not super low, but it was creeping up, and I just noticed every day it was popping up on my scanners. That's why I added it. So, and you can see right here, it was leveled right here, spiked up here, grinded up, The next day gapped up, had a quick huge spike from $7 up to $8. And then the rest of the week, it's just been consolidating right below that $8. So I'd be keeping an eye on VVPR to get up and above that $8. And then the big picture is, hey, that big mental $10 is only $2 away. So you got to think all these long traders are thinking, let's get it to 10. And then that's going to be the next resistance. So for me, VVPR is definitely still on watch. And then U1 popped up Friday. It didn't do anything. WIMI, this ain't gonna really do anything probably. MARPS, just a pump and dump. That's all this was. Look at this, guys. The float right here is 1.6 million. It's a super low float stock. This is the daily chart. And look at these wicks. It's just a pump and dump stock. That's all it is. There's a chat room out there that loves pumping this and popping it up. But it's still hanging around. That's the thing. If it can get up and above $4, I would say $4.50, it's still in play. Always have to keep an eye on these low float stocks if they're setting up. See, look at that 10-minute here. It's setting up like a huge wedge right here. Connect all the lower highs on it, all the higher lows. It's going to have another move. Potentially, it'll break maybe to the upside, or people will just forget about it and it'll fall to the downside. I'm going to just add MARPS to my list. And I'm also going to throw an alert. So the trade price increases to, I'm going to say 410. If it gets back above 410, it'll alert me. And then maybe I can keep an eye on it. And I think that's... All right, that's all of the stocks I had on my... No, that's... Never mind, I'm sorry, guys. BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond. Look at this, guys. All week, this trended up. All week, from $20 all the way up to $22. Not much room. So, yeah, I'm done with BBBY. Ride had a big... This one, it got me a couple times last week. I tried to trade Ride 2 times, and I got burnt both times because I was anticipating that breakout above $18 to that mental $20, and it faked me out. So I traded it. It was Thursday and Friday I traded it. So here, you can see what I'm looking at too, and I'll put it together for you guys. Here's 18 bucks, and it was holding up down near this level right here at 1770s, I'd say. But I was looking at it right here from the open when it shot up from 1750 up over 18 to 1850. Zoom on this more. So I was looking at this. It popped up to 1850 and it pulled back and it was holding that mental $18 right here. It got down and down and down close right here. I took a position. It fell through and I sold it for a loss. And then it came back up and broke up over 18, got in it again, and then it decayed off and I had to sell it for a loss. So this bit me twice on Thursday. And then I think I traded it Friday. No, I didn't trade it Friday. It was Wednesday and Thursday I traded it. This day right here too. No? I can't remember, guys. But it burnt me a few times. I wasn't able to get ace or ride. But it's still hanging out. That's what I'm seeing on it. Maybe I'll give it another shot this upcoming week, but that $18 has been $18.50, I'll say, has been the level on it. If it falls down below 17, it's over with. So I would say it's probably consolidating right now because it's just going back and forth between support and resistance, consolidating before its next move up to that mental $20. So I'm still going to stalk ride. It's not over with yet. I want to make my money back. And then we got Twitter. Twitter had a big gap down from 53, bottoming out at 39 and grinding back up to 44. This has got a big gap to fill from 45-ish all the way back up to here. So I'm going to continue watching Twitter. I'm going to add a ride and Twitter to my list. And then Draftkings. Draftkings, this stock is wild. I'm not going to lie. This stock has a personality. It loves to shake people out of their position, and then they let it go. It's notorious for that. Let me see. Like an example, I'm trying to look for an example real quick. So right here, you got like a triple bottom, and then it falls down lower down here, and then they finally lift it. Fast forward. You got your ramp up here. Stock trends down and retraces. It pops, but then it fades even more, making a new low. And then it grinds all the way back up even further. There's just so many little tricks with Draftkings. And I always call it Donkey Kong for some reason. Like even right here. Like you got this consolidation right here. Back and forth action. It's consolidating before its move. Consolidating. They break it down. And then they bring it right back up. Consolidates. And then after hours it explodes. Like, I've traded Draftkings recently the past few weeks. And I given up on it. I cannot. There's a guy in chat, Sully. He can trade Draftkings and he can read it to a T. Like, he calls the flush out. He knows they're shaking him out. I try to do it with them, and I'm so strict with my cutting my losers, and I don't want to be down and then have it go back up and hold on to a loser and hope that it goes back up. I'll get in on it, it'll flush me out, and then they'll rip it right back up every single time. So screw you, Draftkings. And then NIO, what an epic mover, from $30 all the way up to $44. And this thing consolidated all day Friday. So look for a squeeze to continue on NIO. Look at that grind up here. And then what's interesting about this right here, we got the grind up all right here. And if I zoom in right here, it ramped up. This was pretty nasty right here. That right here, from 39.50 all the way down to 36. Shorts probably thought it was over with, and then they squeezed it even higher, all the way up right here, grinding it all the way up. That's sick. That's sick. From 40 bucks all the way up to $44. That's wicked. But Friday, fast forward to Friday here, look at that beautiful wedge or triangle, whatever you guys want to call it. Beautiful wedge right here. So all day wedge here on Friday. Look for this to either gap and go Monday or gap and continue falling on Monday. 4150s is going to be that level to look out for. Maybe look for a quick spike and come back down and test that 4150. If it holds if it holds as support, yeah, it could go. A lot of eyes on NIO. So I'll add NIO to my weekly watch list as well. And then OSTK, this had a sick sell-off. Right here. Look at that big gap up. From 72 bucks, it gapped up to $82. And then everybody, their mother, their grandparents, and their great-grandparents sold it. And it sold all the way down to 56 bucks. I don't know if you say they got a market cap greater than GM now. I thought you might have been referring to their float or shares outstanding. I never really look at market cap. I always just pay attention to the shares outstanding and the float. But GM, that float is in the billions, I think. Yeah, 1.3 billion. Yeah, I don't know about. Never been much of a fan of trading GM because it was never in play. GM, the float in the past is just so massive, and it literally would move like a barcode stock, like pennies at a time, like this right here on that 3-minute. I try to stay away from those large float stocks. NKLA just got a massive sell-off. It's just been fading out. JMIA had a few nice opportunities last week. Everybody remembers JMIA. And then we got Tupperware. Tupperware was a nice one 2 weeks ago. But it'll probably just fade out, Tupperware. It needs to hold up above that 30, 31 bucks. Just quickly running through the remaining stocks on my list. See if anything catches my eye. SPI, maybe. Maybe a pump and dump. Because it's just been consolidating, leveling out. All right here on the 1 minute. And then if we zoom in on the 10 minute, all this is just a pump and dump stock. If it can get back above 8 and get above 850, it may run up to 10, but that's asking for a lot. KXIN, it could have a bounce. The only reason I'm saying that is because if we look at the daily chart, I'll watch KXIN. I'll add it to my weekly watch list. Because it gapped up above that 13 EMA. And it's sitting right at it at 350. And if we go back to the intraday chart, and real quickly, look at that float. It's only 1.1 million. Super low float stock. I call that a nano float stock. So KXIN. Zoom here on the 1 minute. You can see pre-market, it gapped up to $5. And then it just had this 6 sell-off right here. But then you could see it. It rounded out right here. Rounded out, and it went sideways at that 350s, 360s area, finding resistance just below that $4. So if this can get back above 4 and hold $4, there's a good little possible scalp opportunity of 50 cents from 4 up to 450. I would keep an eye on KXIN for sure. With the low float stock like that, 1.1 million, there's, just think of how many chat rooms are out there, how many gurus are out there with followings. With a low float stock like this, all it takes is for one chat room with 500 followers to get this stock going. It's all it takes. So KXIN, I'll be watching that. I'll put an alert. I love trading bounce plays. I'll put it at 405. And I'd look for it to pop up above that 4 and hold $4. See, it did it right here Friday. Like, look at this. So this day right here, it had a wedge on it. And then going into the next day, it popped up. And then all that at the break of the wedge, it kept bouncing as support. And then ripped up to 425. And then it tried to hold that $4 as support, like I said, but it failed and faded off. Maybe this next go around it'll do it. But just be careful with volume. SCKT done for. ALTM. I'll be watching this bad boy. I forgot all about it. I traded ALTM on Friday. Made almost $5,000. Right here. Look at that. It doesn't look like it has much volume, but this is just a textbook patterns here. Look at this. Just a U shape right there. Holding as support, pops up, pulls back. Old resistance, which was right there and right there. Holding as support, rips up, pulls back, rips up again. From 26.50 up to a high of 32.50. That's a $6 move. All within 3 hours. But this day was epic right here. This stock just kept going and going and going and going. It got squeezed so many times. Like all this tight resistance here. And then boom, they lift it. Consolidation, boom. Consolidated. Shorts thought it was over. It broke down. And look at that. It didn't go down. So if a stock has a breakdown, if it's a strong breakdown, it'll have a big death candle. But if it has a breakdown and it's weak and it's not looking convincing, you got to think all those shorts are underwater and they're sweating. They're like, wow, this just didn't break. It's still holding up and hanging around. And look what happened from right there. Let's zoom in on that. This is how you get better, guys. You break down. Why did this move like this? Why? See, there's that pop up there. It ran into a halt. Look at all that support right there. Right at that mental $20. That's why I pay attention to mental levels. Right there. $20. A big, big mental $10, $20 mental level. Holding as support. Formed a very tight wedge. And from 20 had this explosion all the way up to $23. A $3 move. Then consolidated right here. And then look at that. It broke down, but that's not a convincing breakdown. And it was still lingering around all right here. And then that's what led to this next explosion up from 20, what was that, 21 all the way up to 25.50, gets halted and reopens up at 26.50. I mean, that's a $5-6 move, guys. Come on. You only need a couple hundred shares and a stock's moving dollars like that at a time. You can make good money. Don't pay attention to those garbage penny stocks where a stock's 5 cents and you need to buy 100,000 shares just to make $1,000. So man, that was just a wild day from 17 all the way up to $32. Awesome. All right, we're almost done. And then SRRK has been still hanging around. It still has not broken down yet. And what do I mean by that? This stock from 14 ran all the way up to almost $50. And you got to think, people thought it was going to break down right here. I'll zoom in on this. Had this big move right here. And SRRK on Thinkorswim was easy to borrow. It stopped being easy to borrow right here around this area is when it started to be easy to borrow, and they switched it to hard to borrow. So it hasn't broken down yet. It's still hanging around. And you have everybody who's been holding short all up in here. All these shorts, they all think it's up way too much. It's got to come down. A short's philosophy and thinking is if it goes up, it has to come down, right? No, it doesn't work like that. Sure, majority of the time, it does fall down, but look at this thing. It's still hanging around. So all these shorts are sweating because this has not broken down yet. From October 29th to November 9th, so 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks now, the stock has been hanging around. Look for it to blow through up to that $50 and possibly squeeze shorts. So SRRK has not broken down yet. It's still on watch for me. Most definitely. Shorts get stubborn. They don't want to cover positions. They add and add and add, and it just leads to these moves that happen like APVO. You know, they think it's up way too much. They get aggressive. 4 straight days, APVO was green. So a short is thinking, okay, volume is retracing on this every day. It's moving up on lighter and lighter volume. It's just up way too much. It's got to come back down. That's what they all think and say. And then it closes weak on Friday. And then just out of nowhere, every short and their father cover their position. And it's a domino effect, and it's all over and downhill. And this is scary right here. People commit suicide over moves like this. That's real talk. That's why shorting is a very risky business. So I don't swing trade. So Jose, what settings do you use on Street Smart Edge to find stocks to swing trade? I don't swing trade. Swing trading is way, way, way too risky. Anything could happen overnight. The CEO could get a DUI, a terrorist attack could happen, and then you wake up and everything's gapped down massive. Like, it's way too risky. That's why I don't swing trade. If I would swing trade, sometimes I occasionally do. It's very rare. It's a very, very small position to make a couple bucks. I'm a day trader. I'm not a swing trader. But there are good swing traders out there. But swing trading is more high risk, I think, than day trading. I get much more of a peace of mind knowing that I'm cash at the end of every day. I could sleep much better. I remember a few times I would check positions nonstop overnight and then wake up in the middle of the night at 3-4 a.m. to check my position. Very stressful. So I think I went over everything on my end. If you guys have any stocks you want me to go over, spit them out now. WWR's done for. BLRX had 2 hot days. Pretty much a double top on BLRX. And then HOFV this thing was just a straight turd. I can't remember if I traded HOFE. When did this pop off? On the 5th? So the 5th was on a Thursday. Let me see. I might have traded HOFE here. I'll have to go back and check the Discord here. Wow. So the 5th was Thursday? Yeah. Yeah, I traded HOFV. No, that was ALTM. I traded, made 5,000 on that. And yeah, I did trade HOFV. I made almost $8,000 trading HOFV. Yeah, Thursday I made $13,000. And then Friday I made 5,000 when I traded live with you guys. I made over $20,000 last week. But this year, 2020, I took my trading to a whole new level. I went from consistently making a couple $100 a day to a couple $1,000 a day to a few $1,000s a day, and consistently getting better and better, growing and advancing. That's the whole point. Start small and build your momentum up. I've come a long way in my 5 years. But that means SixBot just spammed the heck out of my Discord. But if you guys don't have any stocks you want me to go over, I'll end it here in a few minutes. Ready to see what pops up Money Monday for tomorrow. And I think what I'm going to do going forward, I think I'm going to do a live stream and trade with you guys every Friday. So I'll start to do that. But if you guys want, head over to the Discord. Check it out. Join it. It's absolutely free. I have it jam-packed, filled with education for you guys. There's so much stuff in here available for you guys, from audiobooks, PDF books, trading psychology, chart patterns, Fibonacci, trading indicators. So much stuff in here for you guys for free. Over almost 30 audio or PDF books and 18 audiobooks. Volume study, tape reading, and then we have a Monday through Friday chat where we're all bouncing ideas off of each other. That was DGLY. But so we got one here. Just go to my YouTube page, go to the info, and I have a link right there for you guys. So we got one stock here, PLTR. We'll take a look at that. Yeah, PLTR looks pretty good. Its float is a really, really massive 969 million. But this is setting up for a potential good move. PLTR, what so it's on the New York Stock Exchange. It's in the information technology sector. Why was this up? Had no news on it. It's a good move, though. If you swung this overnight or traded it during the day, I mean, this is a really good move. Let's zoom in on this. All right here. So we had our morning ramp right here. And then look at that nice wedge for the continuation move. Started to perk up, was holding it as support from 1375. Shoots up to 1450, tops out just below 15 bucks. And then from there, just retraces, making this big wedge right here. So going into tomorrow, I'd look for it to continue going, or it's going to fail and start to fade off. That float is really, really, really massive. So just keep that in mind. Here on the 10-minute, see, you had two moves. You had this move, it consolidated, and then it had that move. Now it's consolidating. So what you could do is get your Fibonacci retracement from this low, draw up to the high, and then from this low right here, draw another Fibonacci retracement. So I got a cluster here at 1330s. If it falls below that 1330s, I like 1350 right here. But it is making lower lows. It's getting hammered down. So look for it to for 1350 to hold. And if it continues break, just wait for that break of the trend line on the resistance right here. If it breaks up above that, look for it to pull back, hold as support, and it could potentially go. But it's still got a little bit more time to set up, and who knows which direction that will choose. I'll add it to the list just in case. And then we got Kern, K-E-R-N. I think I already talked about Kern. Yeah, I already talked about Kern, I think. I'm already watching K-E-R-N on the weekly watch list. So then I can go off now and I can delete my Monday, everything that was on my Monday. Now I can go off and delete every single ticker. So that way when I start Monday, I could start fresh on my Monday watch list and refer to my weekly watch list for backseat plays. And then we'll see what happens this upcoming week with the market, the SPY, and the NASDAQ. Now that Biden, all this news has been coming out with Biden. So last week, this market just kept grinding up right here. Looked like it started to level off right below this 350. So we'll see where futures lead us and go from there. We're at almost all-time highs again on the S&P 500. That's wild. What a wild election term for Trump. Trump has just gave us so many opportunities as a trader. Love him or hate the guy, he's given us day traders so many opportunities with his tweets. What a wild term. Wild. So many. Just look at all the emotions with this guy. And this is just 2020 right here. Going back from when he got elected. 2016. It's like right up in about right here is when he got elected. Right there. So it's pretty wild. A lot of big sell-offs right here and right here. Few dips on it. But the overall direction you got to keep in mind with the market has always been up. Always. Just got to keep that in mind if you're a long-term investor. I mean, this is only going back to 2001. But you see the overall direction of it. It's always been up. But alright guys, I think I'm just about done. We streamed for a good hour. Hopefully you're all ready for Money Monday. Tune in into the Discord. I'm always into the Discord. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm in chat calling out plays that I'm looking at, trading, and I'm always showing you guys my P&L. You know, always showing you what I make and lose on trades. And ask anybody in the chat. I'm consistently profitable, and every day I show it. So just make sure, if you don't follow me, whoever you're following, make sure they're transparent with you. You know, if somebody's not showing you their P&L, and I really wouldn't trust them, because there's a lot of guru furus in this game. A lot. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Again, if you're interested in the Discord, and I'll show you guys real quick. Head over to my YouTube channel, TradingLearning101. We just crossed over 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all very much. Head on over to the About section. And right in the About section, you have links to the Facebook page, the Twitter, the Discord chat room, my Instagram, and the merchandise store if you want to represent the Trading Learning 101 Wolfpack on a shirt, sweatshirt, coffee mug, you name it. So all the links are in the About on my YouTube channel, Trading Learning 101, and in every single video I put out in the description, there's all kinds of links in there for you guys. So everything's just right out to grab. You just got to grab it. Again, hopefully you guys all had a good weekend. I think we're all about done here. We streamed for an hour and 23 minutes. So the next time I will see you guys is Friday. I'm going to try to hop on 9 a.m. Friday Eastern time to day trade live with you guys. Hopefully you all had a safe weekend. Be careful this upcoming week. Alright guys, like I always say, till next time, have that patience, have that discipline, and study, study, study. Later everybody.